I don't remember how I found the Harrington Arms. It was as if some hidden part of my mind brought me there, some part seeking punishment or refuge. The lobby felt like a stage after a bad play, its lights dim and weary. When I rang the bell, it let out a cracked note. The pale clerk, in a threadbare suit, eyed me like he'd been expecting me for years. My voice felt foreign as I whispered, "Room 303." He nodded and handed me the key, saying breakfast was at 7. I doubted I'd ever want to eat again. The corridor to my room was narrow and dimly lit by flickering sconces. The deep red carpet gave under my feet like it was breathing. At the door, I hesitated, fingers trembling as I slipped the key in. The air was thick, almost choking. When I stepped in, it looked like any standard hotel room bed, desk, TV, but something was off. The rose wallpaper looked scorched, the gold-threaded bedspread like creeping vines. The single lamp lit only part of the room. The corners remained swallowed in thick silence. I dropped my bag and approached the window. Through the blinds, I expected city lights, but saw only a brick wall inches away. Cold glass met my palm, slick with condensation, as if the building itself was weeping. I choked back a sob. Not here, not yet. Sitting on the bed, clutching the thin sheet, my heart pounded. I didn't know why I was here, only that guilt clung to me like rust on the tongue. Just one night, I told myself. One quiet night, but the room breathed around me. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep. Behind my lids, images flickered, broken photographs, blurred faces, a hand pushing me through a door. I wanted to scream, but couldn't. My body was leaden. Then, without knowing when it happened, I slept. I woke at dawn. Pale light filtered in. The same wilted roses, the same green bedspread. A silence that rang in my ears. I stumbled to the bathroom. The mirror was cracked, fractured like my thoughts. My reflection looked wrong, tired, tangled, shadowed. I leaned closer. What did I do? I mouthed, but no answer came. I splashed cold water on my face, briefly clear-headed. I had to piece together how I'd gotten here. My suitcase held only a dress, heels, and a few personal items. No phone, no note, no clue. The TV played only static. The remote changed it to a low hum, crouching to look under the bed. I found muddy footprints, mine leading from the door to the window. But I'd taken off my shoes when I entered. I touched one print. It was damp, fresh, and it was mine. My breath caught. The room wasn't a refuge anymore, it was a prison. My own guilt had made it so. What had I done to deserve this place? I listened at the door. Silence. As if time held its breath. I stepped back, shaken. I had to start putting it all together. I shut the bathroom door and returned to the bed, grabbing a pen. I would write everything I could remember, because the only way out of room 303 was through the truth. And so my first morning in this purgatory began, with shaking hands and a silent vow. I will remember. I sat at the edge of the bed, pen poised, willing words to come, but exhaustion claimed me. When I awoke, night had fallen. The room was dim and heavy with dust and fear. My heart raced as I stood, legs shaky, and checked the clock. 2:17 a.m. Time blurred in this endless loop. At the window, I faced only a brick wall, and my reflection hollow-eyed and strange. I pressed my forehead to the glass, desperate to remember what I was running from. The TV flickered with mocking static, but when I tried to change the channel, nothing shifted. Fear rooted me. Breaking the TV felt like breaking myself. Returning to the bed, I noticed the suitcase was zipped shut, though I was sure I'd left it open. Inside, my dress and heels were neatly packed. My pen and notebook were missing. Pulling out the notebook, the pages were blank. No confession, no memories. Panic welled as I thumbed through the emptiness. A soft, deliberate knock startled me. 3 taps. No one answering when I called. Peering through the peephole, the hallway was empty, but I felt watched. Back inside, the air thickened. I flicked on the harsh overhead light, which buzzed before illuminating the shrinking, wounded wallpaper roses dot in the bathroom mirror. My pale face stared back, eyes burning with despair and anger. Suddenly, A shadowy figure appeared behind me in the reflection. I spun nothing. Alone, but not alone. I sat on the bed, struggling to recall the past. A man's voice surfaced, smooth and dangerous. Once close, we shared laughter and dreams. He showed me a ring meant for me. But in anger, I tore it from his finger, flinging it across the room. I heard it break. His final words echoed. "You'll regret this." A cold gust extinguished the light. Darkness wrapped me. Then a lamp flickered on, pale and ghostly. On the bed's corner lay an envelope sealed with crimson wax, my name scripted on it. Fear and curiosity warred inside me. Inside, a single sentence: "Face the truth." My heart pounded as I read it repeatedly. What truth? The broken ring? The shattered promise? Or something darker, buried too deep to recall? The TV's static shifted like a struggling voice. I switched it off. Silence filled the room. I sank onto the bed, clutching the envelope. Sweat slick on my palm. Inside was a photograph of me and the man, smiling beneath golden light, dated 2 years ago. Behind us, faintly, was the corner lamp of room 303. Impossible. How could this place exist then? What tethered me here beyond time? Determined, I pressed the photo to my chest. Emotions swirling. Shame, regret, longing. That room was no prison, it was a confession booth, and I was its unwilling penitent. I woke again with the dull ache of déjà vu, the clock blinking 6:50, 82 minutes before breakfast. My body felt bruised, twisted inside from the restless night. The air conditioner hummed, the same as always, the distant drip of a leaking pipe marking the morning's start. Heart pounding. I noticed the envelope and photograph on the bedspread, edges curled like wounded wings. I clutched them and slipped out, careful not to disturb the muddy footprints I'd left yesterday at the door. My reflection in the mirror was hollow but resolute. I had to push further today, confront whatever kept me trapped. The corridor was empty except for a single door, 304. Yesterday, it was just a number. Today, it shone like a beacon. The damp carpet and mildew smell grew stronger as I approached. Peering under 304's door revealed only darkness, but I sensed a rhythm like a heartbeat, matching my own. Room 302's keyhole stared back like a watchful eye, but fear held me back. I continued to the emergency stairwell, its door ajar and spilling weak light. Inside, the damp concrete stairs echoed under a flickering bulb. Scrawled on the wall was a wet message. "Remember who you were." My skin crawled. Below, a shadowy shape blinked once before fading into darkness. I fled back upstairs, heart racing. Back in the hall, I turned to room 303. The envelope was gone, but the photograph lay face down on the desk. Flipping it, the golden glow in the image felt like sunlight after a storm so different from the sickly room light. In the desk's top drawer was a tarnished hotel, pen dry and useless. Like my hollow mind, in the second drawer, I found a small leather journal, embossed with 303. Its cursive handwriting wasn't mine, but phrases struck chords. "I deserve this. Forgive me. It wasn't supposed to end like this." The journal was a confession, betrayal, violence, remorse. One entry haunted me. I watched her cry. I watched her plead. But I walked away. Now she's gone, and the ghosts of that night haunt me every moment. Tears blurred my vision. Who was she? I flipped frantically until a torn page slipped out. Counseling and Support Services Room 402, with a phone number crossed out. In red, I sank onto the bed, the room pushing me to face my guilt, my trauma. I mimed dialing, but found only silence. Frustrated, I threw the page. The walls pulsed as if alive. A sharp knock shattered the silence from the bathroom. Fear froze me. Another knock, softer, pleading. I opened the door. The bathtub was half filled with crimson-tinged water, dripping faucet like a ticking clock. My reflection rippled in the water, pale and haunted. A shape rose briefly, then vanished. I opened the medicine cabinet to find a vial labeled truth serum. The room tilted inward. Everything screamed to run, but I stayed. The label seemed to shift, a whisper sliding across my skin. "Take it." Reveal your truth. Knuckles white, I thought of the shattered ring, the photo's light. Her tears, whoever she wasn't, that night I turned away. The question loomed, am I willing to face the truth, no matter the cost? I lifted the vial, the tub's water bubbling as if reacting to my choice, and I drank. The liquid burned down my throat, bitter, sharp, unreal, like a gasoline-laced dream. I dropped the vial, glass shattered like scattered teeth. Staggering back, I gripped the sink, breath ragged. The room seemed to hold its breath, walls rippling, lights flickering, dimming. Then, my reflection didn't move. It stared older, wiser, wounded. Her lips didn't move, but words filled the air. You know what you did. I denied it. She called my lie, said I buried the truth because it was too ugly. The bathroom spun. I collapsed as memories crashed like tidal waves. The accident night, storm, screaming wind, rain slicing the windshield. I was driving, hands shaking, mascara running. Ryan sat beside me, angry again. His ring gleamed mockingly on the dashboard in the back seat. Sophie, my little sister, headphones on, unaware. Ryan begged, pull over, let's talk. But I was furious, pressed harder on the gas, trying to outrun rage. Then the tires screamed. The guardrail hit, screams shattered the night. Silence. I gasped, realizing I'd killed her. Sophie, only 15. Tears poured out, heavy sobs choking me. The truth squeezed tight. The reflection smiled sadly. You've been here ever since. No, I whispered. You built this loop. Each day you deny it, the room twists with your mind's refusal. I sank to the cold floor. I didn't mean to. I was angry. Intent doesn't erase consequence. The mirror cracked, and she vanished. I crawled to the bedroom, blurred vision through tears. Walls shimmered with memories. Sophie laughing, braiding my hair, tapping feet in the back seat. I curled into a ball, sobbing until lungs ached. Then, a soft knock. Not in my head reel, sis. Frozen, I rose, hand on the door, her voice soft, kind. I opened it, no hallway, only warm golden light. Sophie stood there, auburn hair in a ponytail, wearing her faded hoodie, smiling radiantly. I've been waiting, she said gently, for you to remember. Tears streaming, I whispered, I'm so sorry. She nodded, I know. I never meant to hurt you, I know. Can you forgive me? Her hand reached out, warm and real, squeezing. Gently, I already have. I sobbed on her shoulder, clinging to the sister I thought lost forever. The light behind her flickered into a long corridor. She stepped back, nodding toward the light. It's time. I looked back. Room 303 was gone. Walls vanished. Only air remained. For the first time, I stepped out of the loop. Toward the light. The past began to loosen its grip. The light wasn't blinding warm like morning sun breaking through winter clouds. As I stepped into it, I expected a cosmic shift, but felt only weightlessness, not physical, but emotional, as if a heavy burden had finally loosened. Sophie walked beside me, barefoot, hands in her hoodie pocket. She was quiet, but her presence calmed the chaos inside me. The corridor stretched endlessly. The silence was comforting, not oppressive like room 303's, but peaceful, like sitting beside someone you love without needing words. I thought I'd never see you again. I whispered. Sophie smiled softly. You were never really looking. Her words hit hard. I had buried her in memory and denial. Room 303 wasn't punishment. It was my fortress of guilt. I couldn't handle the truth. It would have destroyed me. No, she said gently. It would have set you free, like now. The corridor changed. Wallpaper faded to ivy-covered stone. Ceiling opened to clouds. Moments from my life flickered on the walls, pushing Sophie on a tire swing. Fighting over the TV remote, Mum yelling. Then the last image, me slamming the car door. Her, asleep in back, headlights vanishing in a storm. I stopped. I want to change it. I know, she whispered, but you can't. The ache twisted inside me. I don't know how to live with what I've done. You already have. Every loop in that room was a day you survived. But I wasn't living. You were surviving. Now it's time to live. Ahead, the corridor narrowed to a wooden door with a brass handle. I reached for it, but hesitated. Where does it go? Sophie smiled, teasing. Depends on you. Are you coming? She shook her head. I was never really here. Just a memory, a guide. You brought me so you could let me go. My chest tightened. I love you. She brushed my cheek. I never stopped loving you. I never blamed you. Tears fell as I hugged her. When we parted, she faded like mist. I touched the warm brass door, turned the handle, stepped through. I gasped. I was in a real bed, sunlight pouring through open curtains. City sounds beyond the window. No room 303. Machines beeped. My hands were bandaged. A nurse gasped, she's awake. Voices flooded in. Doctors, a social worker, Ryan. He looked older, tired, scarred, but his eyes were soft. You've been out for days. What happened? You crashed. It was bad. But you made it. And Sophie. His face tightened, then softened. You said she wasn't in the car. I remembered. She died a year earlier, hiking accident. I'd been alone. The fight with Ryan triggered my breakdown. Room 303 wasn't about that crash, it was about what I never accepted before. I buried my face in my hands. I remember now. Ryan took my hand gently. Good, that's the first step. I looked out the window. The city buzzed with life. Room 303 was gone, but its lessons remained. Healing isn't forgetting, it's remembering and choosing to live anyway. I should have grown used to waking up in room 303 by now, but this time, something's different. The room feels colder, smaller, tighter around my chest. My breaths come shallow and quick. The tangled sheets feel like restraints, but I don't panic anymore. Instead, I sit up slowly, calm, deliberate. The window is open. Outside, there's only dense fog swallowing everything beyond the sill, making room 303 seem like the only place left, like it's all I deserve. Behind me, the mirror hums softly, glowing like a wound. I face it without turning away. My reflection is almost me, but her eyes are colder, deader. She's still, lips curled in a faint, unnatural smile, moving slightly behind my steps, as if controlled by a drunken hand. What do you want? I whisper. Her mouth moves, but the voice comes inside my head. You know, but I don't. Not yet. I've seen many versions of myself since the first night, screaming, silent, bleeding. But this one just watches, waiting, like she knows I'm close to the truth. On the nightstand, the journal lies open. Its pages no longer reset. They hold words I wrote, but don't remember. Words trembling with guilt. She said it was my fault. She said I left her there. I trace the letters, familiar but memories buried deep. The lamp flickers. The mirror pulses faster like a heartbeat. My reflection's nose starts bleeding. Her smile widens. You're almost there, she says. I stumble back, knees weak. What am I missing? What memory won't come? Suddenly, the door rattles urgently, but I don't turn toward it. I realize the door was never the way out. The way out has always been inside. I crawl back to the mirror, pressing my hands to its warm surface. My reflection blinks slowly, mouth open as if tasting the air. I speak, tell me. Silence. I'm ready, then she changes. Her face melts like wax, revealing a memory. A hospital hallway, harsh white light. A nurse crying quietly. There's Emma, my little sister, lying frail in a hospital bed, lips blue, machines beeping. I remember. I was there, but I was gone. I left her that date, to meet someone, get coffee, breathe for a second. When I came back, They were covering her face. I scream, not from shock, but because I finally remember. The guilt, the horror, the denial. I built this room. This punishment, room 303, isn't a hotel room. It's the number of Emma's hospital room where she died. It's the number I erased to survive. But now it's back. The mirror cracks. Fractures spidering out. My reflection splits and disappears. The room pulses. Something inside me breaks like a snapped chain. I realize I'm crying deep, ugly sobs from a part of me buried long ago. Then the door swings open, not rattles or groans. Light pours in, not cold fluorescent light, but warm, golden, real. I stand, legs shaking. The mirror goes dark. The room stops breathing. I walk to the door, pause, look back at the bed, the journal, the cracked mirror, my prison, my punishment, my truth. I'm sorry, I whisper. No answer, only silence. I sat on the edge of the bed, hands shaking over cold coffee. Room 303 was unchanged, sterile. Too perfect, but something had shifted. The silence no longer comforted. The mirror no longer blurred. I saw myself, tired, tear-streaked, human. And I didn't flinch. At the window, the city looked the same, but the glass felt different, warm, alive. Then I saw her, across the street. In the hotel's mirrored lobby, stood a woman soaked, dazed, bleeding from her forehead. It was me that night, the accident, the memory played in full, now not as a dream, but as truth. She had begged me not to drive, said I was drinking too much, forgetting things, seeing things I'd snapped, shouted that I wasn't broken. She cried but got in the car anyway, music box clutched tight. Her mother's gift, it rained. I drove. Too fast. The red light came too quickly. The truck slammed into us. She turned to shield me. The rest was chaos. Screams, blood, metal, gasoline, and guilt. Then, silence, except room 303, where I kept waking up. Why am I here? I whispered. The room answered, not in words, but with clarity. Because I killed her, lied about what led to it, ran not from the crash, but from who I had become. This room was my prison, and maybe my penance. The room looked tired, like it had lived this loop as long as I had. I noticed the painting above the bed was crooked. Behind it, a crack in the wall. I touched it. It spread. The mirror shattered. The clock blinked 12 o'clock. The music box stopped. Then came a knock, one firm, certain. I opened the door. She stood there, not broken, not dead, glowing with the peace of a dream you never want to lose. You're ready, she said. I fell to my knees. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to face it. She knelt, took my hand, warm, real. You couldn't forgive yourself. That's why it never ended. I looked back one last time. The bed unmade. The mirror cracked. The air finally free. Is this it? I asked. No, she smiled. This is the beginning. The hallway stretched into light, and room 303 vanished behind. Me,